Assalamu alaikum. From this week onward, we will going to start with our second part of this course, which is related to database. And in this part, we are going to use this book, Database System Design, Implementation and Management, 10th edition. And book is available on the bookstore. So please, everybody, issue a copy of the book because it is very important for understanding the concept of database. You will need book, slides only are not enough. Let's start with chapter 1, that is about database system. And in this chapter we will learn what a database is, okay, the difference between data and information, and why database produce better results than other data management systems. You will also learn about different type of databases and why the database design is so important. As we know that in the past we use file system to manage our data, and database evolved from this computer file system. Although this file system manage our data pretty good, but with the increase of the amount of data with every day, it become very difficult to use file system to manage the data. So what are the flaws in file system data management that we need to introduce database systems? So you will learn how the database system helps eliminate or remove the flaws in the traditional file system data management system and the main functions of database management systems. Okay. As we know that in every day in the business we have to take decisions, and these decisions are based on the information that we derived from raw fact. This raw fact is called a data. Okay, so data are likely to be managed most efficiently when they are stored in database, and our database system evolved from traditional computer file system, and it is very important for understanding the file system characteristics in order to know the concepts of database systems. Okay, why databases? Why we need database? You know that you interact with databases on daily basis. For example, how many of you did online shopping last week or last month or last day or last year? You know, you will use your credit card to do that, and none of that credit card transaction would be possible without a database. Or if you ship a document or a package via a courier service, uh, or you check your course on Moodle or class schedule on portal, all of you know registered with this online portal and e-learning or Moodle system. So we know that we depend on database everywhere, and its existence is necessary to perform a lot of daily business. So that's why databases solve many of the problems that are encountered in data management, and it is used in everyday activities involving and which involve or which require data management. The activities related to business, research, administration, everywhere we need database. Like, you know, there are telecommunication companies, they have to keep data on trillion of phone calls, and every day new data is being added to the system. Like, you know, maybe thousands of calls per second data is coming to the telecommunication company, and they need to keep record of it. Or like Google can how many queries it is receiving per second. 91 million search queries are received by Google per second, and they are storing this all data, and this data, you can imagine that how large the amount of data, and how difficult or how easy it is to manage this data. If we are not using proper database management system, it would be very difficult to manage this data, or to get required information when you need it to make any decision. So we need a proper database management system which not only store this data but quickly retrieve the facts that decision maker wants to know just when they want to know it. So the answer is that the system that is providing all these services is a database system. Okay, in order to understand the database design, you must need to know the difference between data and information. So what is a data? It is a raw fact. When we say it is a raw fact, the word raw show that the fact have not yet been processed to reveal their meaning. Like for example, I will give you an example over here. Like a university tracks data on faculty member for reporting to accreditation body. So in order to get the data from faculty member, they design this form like shown over here, where each member ID, name and all other information need to be entered in this form, and once information will be submitted from this form, it will come into this form. Okay, now you can see here in B, this is the information about all the faculty in the university. This is currently a data, raw information, like last name, middle name, first name, department, office, email, rank, higher year, degree, blah blah. Although in this particular form you have fact in hand, but in this form these facts are not useful for us. Or reading through 100 of rows of data for faculty member will not provide us much information into the overall makeup of the faculty. So we need to transform the raw data into a summary form like shown over here. Now in this part C, you can see that we process information from raw data and we show it in summary format. Now you can get quick answer to some of the question, like what percentage of the faculty is in INFS department or adjunct, what percentage of faculty is having a rank of assistant professor, and so on. So now we process raw data to retrieve this information out of it. This is another way, like here in this chart. We just show the summary of all our data, like through graphics you can come to the conclusion more easily and quickly, like what is the percentage of let's suppose adjunct, number of the adjunct faculty, like here we can see 5. Okay, what is the percentage of least number of rank in the faculty? We can see that it can be 2, and 2 here, that can be assistant professor and instructor, and so on. So now you can see the difference between raw data and how can we process raw data to generate information out of it. So we can say that information is the result of processing raw data to get the meaning of it. And okay, another thing that is very important, that information require context to reveal meaning. Like for example, you have an average temperature reading of 105 degree, but now this average reading of 105 degree does not give you information until you don't know the context of it, like is this reading in degree Fahrenheit or Celsius, is this a machine temperature or a body temperature or an outside air temperature. So it is very important to know the context in order to reveal the meaning of data. Also, we need to format our raw data in order to storage, processing and presentation. Like you can take the consent from the user in the form of yes or no, but you can store this yes or no in your database in the form of yes as 1 and no as 0 in a different format. So formatting is also required in order to store the data, process the data and present the raw data. So data is not only a raw fact, but we can also say that data is the building block of information, because we require data in order to yield or produce information out of it, and information then is used to show the meaning in data, and accurate, relevant, timely information is the key to good decision making, because we are now said to be entering the knowledge age and data are the foundation of information. So if you are going to do good decision, for good decision you need accurate information, and to get that accurate information you need to process data. Okay, data management is a discipline that focuses on the proper generation, storage and retrieval of data. Given the crucial role that data play, it should not surprise you that data management is the basic activity for any business, government agency or any other organization. Efficient data management require the use of computer database, and we know that database is a shared integrated computer structure that store two things: end user data and metadata. End user data is the raw data or raw facts that are that user is interested in to collect, and then metadata is data about data which provide the more information or description of data, like if you create a file in Word, the metadata about the file is the name of the file, the date file is created, the date it was last modified, the owner of the file. This is what metadata or data about data. And what will be the end user in that Word document? The content that you will add into that Word file will be the end user data. Then what is a database management system? It is a collection of program, like a lot of programs are collected together which are responsible for managing the database structure and control the access to the data stored in the database. So we can say that a database actually resembles a very well organized electronic filing cabinet in which there is some powerful software. DBMS is what? A software which help to manage the content of that cabinet where you put all your files. Why we need DBMS? DBMS act as the intermediary between the user and the database itself, because database is what? Collection of data and the metadata, okay, facts and data about data, that is your database. Now how user can access this data to retrieve the useful information out of it? We need some system, and this system is provided by DBMS, database management system, which is what? A collection of software, so many programs which help to not only organize your data to store in a particular format, but also help you to get or retrieve useful information about that data. Through DBMS you can share data, and it also combine or integrate different view of the user views of the data. What do you mean by user views of the data? Like, you know, the data that are accessible to the faculty, like here in our DBMS system, like Moodle. Moodle is a complete database, and it is managed through some DBMS, and we get a different view of this data. As a faculty, I get a different view of it, but as a student you will get a different view of it. As you can see in this picture, that this is our database, okay, and we have a database structure that where we maintain the data about customer, invoices, product, and then metadata, okay. Now and here we have a end user on this side which are accessing this database. But how to access this database? Through this intermediary database management system, which get application requests from the end user, and then send this information application based on this application request, get the data that is required by user, and then send this data to end user. End user can access it directly through a system that is connected to DBMS, or end user can access to the database through DBMS, where end users are connected to DBMS on the network, okay, instead of directly connecting to it. Okay, some of the benefits or advantages of DBMS include improved data sharing, because it helps to create an environment where end user have better access to more and better managed data, and this access make it possible for end user to respond quickly to changes in the environment. It improve data security. It is when we are giving access to more number of users to our database, there is a possibility of breach of the security, and we can improve this data security with the help of DBMS, because DBMS properly authenticate each user before giving that user an access to the database. Then it also provide better data integration, minimize data inconsistency. What is data inconsistency? Like, you know, we have an example for it, that we have two different department, sales department and personal department. There is one employee who is working in sales department, and his name is Muhammad Ahmad. Now sales department save the name of this person in its database as Muhammad Ahmad, but personal department who keep record of all the employee of the company save the name of the same employee as M. Ahmad. Now Muhammad Ahmad and M. Ahmad, it will be inconsistent data. Data is not same in both record of the same employee. But if we use DBMS help us to remove such kind of data inconsistency in the database. It improve data access in the sense that you can get answer of your queries immediately from the database in the form of some nice report, like you want to know that how many of our customer have credit balance of more than 5,000 Riyal. You can get this information quickly from the database with the help of DBMS. It also improve decision making. How it improve decision making? Because if we manage data in the better way, it not only improve data access, but it will also make it possible to generate better quality information. And when you have a better quality of information, you can make a better decision based on that information. It increase end user productivity. How it increase the end user productivity? Because the availability of data, when we combine it with the tool that change this data into usable information, it not only empower end user but also make it more quick. and information decision can be done that can make the difference between success and failure in the global economy. Okay, types of databases. Now we can classify databases based on some parameter. First is the number of user, second is the location of the database, and what is the type and extent of the use of the database. So starting with the number of user, based on number of user we can have single user database or multi-user database. If we have a single user database, it means it only support one user at a time. For example, desktop databases, while a multi-user database support many users at the same time, like the database that is used in big organizations. Okay, the second factor based on which we classify database is the location of the database. So based on location we can classify our database as a centralized database, the one that is located only on a single location, that is called centralized database. Distributed database means that database is located on many different sites or many different location. And third factor based on which we classify database is the type of data store, what is its specific usage, and the degree to which the database is the data in the database is structured. So based on that we can categorize it as operational database, where it support a company everyday operations, like we can say that the normal transactional or production database are example of operational database, while the data warehouse is analytical database, which is a specialized database which store data in a format that is optimized for decision making, not day to day business, but that is used for strategic planning and decision making. So for that purpose we have analytical database, and analytical database example is the data warehouse. Okay, based on the data structure we can classify database as structured data or unstructured data. Now what is the unstructured data? It is the data that exists in its original state or raw format, that is in the format in which they were collected, that is called unstructured data. Like you are taking input from sensors, and we are using different companies sensors, and each company sensor will give or input data in a different format, and you are just storing it in the same format, the standard format in which you are receiving data. You are not making any change into it, but just you are storing it in the same format. That will be unstructured data. Structured data on the other hand, where we perform some formatting, like for my application I need all my data in a specific format. So all the sensor data that is receiving to me is currently in the raw format or unstructured format, but now I will process that raw data and then change it into a specific format or in a specific structure. On the other hand, semi-structured data is the data that have already been processed to some extent. Like for example, if you are looking at a web page, the data that is presented, it is already in a pre-arranged format to convey some information to you. Okay, how to convert unstructured or semi-structured data into a structured format? For this we have a new generation of databases known as XML database, or extensible markup language is used in this database to represent and change data elements in a textual format. So XML type of database support the storage and manage of semi-structured XML data. Okay, this table gives you some example of well-known database management system. Like here in the product we name some famous DBMS or database management system, and then based on these factors that we discussed previously, like number of user, data location and data usage, and XML, whether it support or not, we can say that MS Access can be used as a single user as well as multi-user. But in case of multi-user, it only support work group, like not a big enterprise but a small organization. It is a centralized database management system which is used for operational purpose, operational mean, normal day-to-day transactions, but not for decision making or strategic planning. Then we have MS SQL Server, which support not only single user work group but also enterprise. It provide you both centralized as well as distributed location for data, and you can use it for normal operational or day-to-day business as well as for data warehouse or analytical decision making, and it also support XML and so on. Database design is one of the very important step toward the implementation of database. What is the database design? It is the organization of data according to database model. You choose a database model and then you organize the data as per your database model. So database designer determine what data must be stored and how the data elements interrelate. So with this information they can begin to fit the data to the database model. And well designed database not only facilitate or help you to perform data management, but it also generate accurate and valuable information, and it is very important for you to generate accurate and valuable information from your data for your decision making and strategic planning. And if you have poorly designed database, then even if you are using very good database management system, it will perform poorly with badly designed database. And most of the chapter which we will discuss in the coming weeks will focus on database design. It is very important factor for database. In this chapter we will study the file system and what are the problem with file system that are evolved to then database system. The reason for studying the file system is that it will help us to understand the complexity in the database design, and it also help to avoid problems with DBMS system, because if we already understand the problem with the file system, we would like to solve these problem in our DBMS system. And knowledge of file system is also useful or helpful for us for converting the file system to database system, because if you know what is the file system, it would be easy for you to convert that file system to database system. So in computer science, file system is a method for storing and organizing computer files and the data they contain to make it easy to find and access it. In the file system, content of each file folder are logically related to each other. Now we will start with the manual file system. As we know that it is very important for an organization to develop a system which handle its core business task. So in past, people use manual file system to do this task, and for manual file system they can use file folders and file cabinet. Now as long as collection of data is small and your organization need to generate few reports out of this data, then it is fine. You can do everything manually and then you store those files in a file folders and put those file folder in your file cabinets, and fine. But if organization grew and you need to generate more reports out of this data, then keeping track of data in manual system become very difficult. So therefore companies look to computer technology for help, and manual file system is evolved into computerized file system. So in order to generate computerized file system, data processing specialists are required, which convert these computer file structure from manual system. Like you have a manual system and you change it into computerized file system. So now you have stored data into your computer in the files, but you need software which should manage this data, and you need to design application program in order to generate reports from that data. In the start, computer file system were same like manual file system, but as you know, organization grew and number of files also increase, so we need to evolve this file system. Now each file use its own application program to store or get or modify data out of it, or each file is owned by either an individual or a department in a company that actually generate data in that file or save data in that file. Like for example, here we have an example where insurance company keep record of its customer and the agents who did policy of those customers. Okay, like here in this table they generate like normal Excel table, and it keep record of the customer name, customer phone, customer address, customer zip, and the agent name, agent phone, and the amount of insurance policy, and when it will be a renewal date. Okay, here we have some of the basic terminology used with file system. Data, which is a raw fact, like here in this table, customer name, this Alfred A. Ramis is the data, 61584425573 is data, and so on. Okay, the raw fact or information is data. Then we have a field. Field is a character or group of character that has a specific meaning. Okay, here in this table, how many fields we have? We have customer name, all customer name we group together over here, so this is one field. Customer phone number is another field, customer address is another field. Okay, so C name, C phone, C address, C zip, A name, A phone, TP, AMT, and REN. These are what? The fields. Then we have record. Record is a logically connected set of one or more fields that describe a person, place, or thing. Okay, in this file, one row is one record, because one row is representing the logically related information about one customer, like this customer has this name, phone number, address, this agent did his policy, and what is the amount of policy, and all that. Okay, so record is the one row in this table is one record, and then collection of these all thing, that is data, field, and record, is called a file. This whole is what? Customer file. This whole table is one customer file. A collection of related record is a file. Here we show an example of a simple file system where each file in the system use its own application program to store or retrieve or modify data. Like sales department have its sales file and customer file. In order to retrieve data from sales and customer file, they have two application program. One is file management program, another one is file report program. And these file management program and file report program are only able to access data from sales file and customer file, while the personal department have a file that is agent file, and the application program that they are using are file report and file management program, but these application program are specifically designed to work with only agent file. And who write these application program? Your data processing specialist. You hire a data processing specialist who will write these application program to retrieve data or modify data from the files. So as number of files grew or number of data increases, we need more application program to generate reports from that file, which make the job of data processing specialist really hard. Obviously, when we switch from manual system to computerized file system, it was a much improvement on the manual system, and file systems were used for more than 2 decades, but there were so many problems with file system, and after understanding these problem with file system, it helps in the development of modern databases. Even if you have a simple file system, in order to retrieve data from that file system, you need extensive programming, because for different type of query you need a different application program to write for it to get your requested data out of the file. Also, ad hoc queries are impossible. Ad hoc mean like on the moment. If you want to get some data immediately on the moment, like you are having a meeting and during meeting you want to get some data, and this meeting you arrange to do some strategic planning or decision making, it would not possible to get data immediately. You are not able to find the answer of your queries immediately from traditional file system, because in order to get answer of your query, you have to send that query to data processing specialist, and he will write the application program for it, and then when he will run this application program on the file system, then he will get the desired result and can present to you. So ad hoc queries are impossible. And changing existing structure is also very difficult, because if you already create a file with some specific number of fields, in order to add a new field or modify the or delete existing fields, it would be difficult for you to do that with file systems. Security feature also is difficult to program with file system, because like in the file system you have 10 fields, and there are some fields which you want to give access to some user, and some other field that you don't want those user to read those field. You won't be able to do that. So often this security features are not present in the file system environment. So what are the limitation of our file system? We can summarize it like it require extensive programming. Why it require extensive programming? Because for each different type of query, you have to write a special application program to get answer of that query and generate report. You cannot perform ad hoc queries, like on the moment if you want to get answer of some question, you would not be able to get it. System administration is more complex and difficult, and it would be difficult to make changes in the existing structure, and security features are not enough to give you all the services that you required. A file system have structural dependence. What it means by structural dependence? That access to file is dependent on its structure. Like for example, if we go back to this table 1.5 and we want to add a new field in this table, like customer date of birth field. Now in order to add this new field into this table, what you have to do is, first of all, you have to read a record from this original file, record number 1 or line number 1, and then transform the original data to conform to the new storage structure requirement. Like you will read this record and then add here for first customer its date of birth, and then repeats this step for each record one by one. Now when you have changed the structure of file, then all of your previous program will not work with the new customer file structure. Therefore you have to modify your previous application program to work with the new structure of customer file. So this structural dependence is adding a lot of complexity in the file system. Now what is a structural independence? It is when you can change the file structure without affecting the application program, or you don't have to make any change in the application program. You can just change the structure of the file whenever you want. So that is what structural independence. Okay, then there is data dependence. It means data access change when data storage characteristic change. Like even if you change a field in your table from integer to character, let's suppose, then it will require you to change all the application program that access this file. So this is called data dependence, while data independence mean when you can change the data storage characteristic without affecting the program which is accessing this data. Okay, practical significance of data dependence is the difference between logical data format and physical data format. Now logical data format mean how the human being views the data, and physical data format mean how the computer must work with data. So any program which is accessing the file system must not tell the computer what to do, but also need to specify how to do it. So each program must have the line which or statements or code that should specify opening of the file, then record specification and field definition. So data dependence make the file system very difficult from the point of view of the programmer and database manager. As we know that file system are vulnerable to security breaches, we cannot have a proper security on file system. So in organizational structure, it promote that we store same data in different location, and when we are storing same data in different location, it is called island of information, because it is a scattered data which is scattered on a different location. And if data is stored in different location, it will probably not updated consistently, and the island of information often contain different version of same data. So the data redundancy exists as a result of this when you have same data stored unnecessarily in different location. Okay, for example, like you have sales department, and all the sales department employees share access to the sales data file through some application program for report generation and data management, which is created by your data processing specialist. Now by using the spreadsheet, each member of the sales department can create his or her own copy of the sales data, and because data is stored in different location, it will probably not be updated consistently, and you will have inconsistency or conflicting version of same data occur at different places. Then we have data anomalies. Data anomaly means abnormalities in the data when all changes in redundant data are not made correctly. Like you have same data present in 2 or 3 location. Now you want to update some information over there. You update that information in 2 locations, but on third location the old information is still present, not the updated information. Like for some customer you have customer phone number has been changed. Now this customer information is present in 3 different location. So on 2 location you change the customer phone number, but on third location it has not been changed. So it add what one thing, inconsistency in data, because different version of same customer record exist in 3 different location. And because you update on 2 location but third location do not update, so it add what, update anomalies. Okay, insertion anomalies, like here if we have only this customer file exist and a new agent is hired by the insurance company, and this new agent currently have no customer, so we cannot insert the record of this new agent until he has no customer. So this is what a kind of insertion anomaly. Okay, deletion anomaly, like we delete the record of this customer Leona K Dune. Okay, by deleting this record we also delete the record of this agent Alex. Okay, Alex also exists in some other location as well. Let's look for the agent which has only one customer. For example, you delete all these customer, like okay, like this Leona, then Myron, and then Anne. Okay, after deleting these 3 customer, you also will lost the information about the agent Alex, because by deleting these customer the information about agent will also be deleted. So that is an example of deletion anomaly. As I already told you that database design is a very important factor for database system, and most of the user lack this skill of properly designed database. Like if you have a society where you want to keep track of the schedule of all the participating students, like which student is enrolled in which course. So although you are very good in creating spreadsheet, but if you lack the properly lack the skill of proper design of the database, you will come up with the one table where you will keep record of all the student information, like what is the student ID, name, class code, class description, or instructor name, and class time and day, and classroom number. Okay, you keep all the information in one table and you will come up with one large table, which is not a good database design. It is considered to be a poor database design, which have many anomalies that we discussed previously, like update anomaly, insertion anomaly, and deletion anomaly, as in the case of this customer table, where we keep record of all the information in a one single large table about all the entities in our database. So database design skill is very important, and good data modeling not only facilitate communication between the designer and user, but also the developer. We have seen many problem in the file system, so these, in order to remove these problem in file system, database systems were proposed, And what is a database system? It consists of logically related data that is stored in a single logical data location or repository. Data may be physically distributed on different storage facilities, but logically we consider it to be stored in a single repository or a storage location. And DBMS remove or eliminate most of the problem that we have with the file system. Like here you can see in this example, if we have a like file system, we have three different departments like personal department, sales department, accounting department, and each department is managing their information in their own files. But when we convert it into database system, there is a single repository where you store the data about all the department in the organization, and all different type of users like different department users can access to this logical single data repository through the DBMS. We can consider DBMS as the heart of the database system, but it is one of the you can say component of database system. Database system not only just DBMS, but DBMS is considered to be one of the very important component of overall database system. So in coming slides we will see what a database system is. As you can see that this database system consists of database, DBMS and users, all together make a database system. So how to define the term database system? It refers to the organization of components that define and regulate the collection of, storage of, management and use of data. So it not only manage incoming data, but it organize it and provides way for the data to be modified or extracted by the user or other programs. Your database system consists of 5 major parts, which are hardware, software, people, procedure and data. This diagram gives you an overview of the major parts of database system, like hardware. This is hardware, this is hardware. Then we have software, like application program is a software, your DBMS is a software. Then people, which are your end users or programmer or database administrator, designer, system administrator. Okay, they play the role, each of them play a specific role. Then procedures and standards, like here, and data itself. Okay, let's discuss these parts one by one. Now what can be the hardware? Hardware is the all physical devices like computer, your storage devices, printer, network devices like routers, switches and any other device that you are using over there. Then we have a software. Now software, we have 3 types of software that are needed, although most of the time we said that DBMS itself is a software, but along with DBMS we use 2 other type of software. One is operating system, because we need operating system to manage hardware. Without operating system we cannot use hardware, so we need operating system, like Windows, Linux, Unix, these are an example of operating system. Then DBMS software by itself, like example of DBMS software, Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle Corporation, Oracle, Sun's MySQL, IBM's DB2. These are some of the example of DBMS software. And then we need application program and utility software, which we use to access and modify data in the DBMS. and it is also used to manage the computer environment in which data access and manipulation take place. So we can say that utilities are your software tools which we use to help and manage the database systems, computer component. Okay, for example, all of the major DBMS vendor now provide GUIs to help create database structure, control database access, and monitor database operations. So these are example of utility or application program. Now there are different type of users that are involved in your database system, and we categorize them as people. Like here you can see we have end users, we have programmer, we have system administrator, database administrator. Now what is the job of system administrator? It oversee all the general operation of database. Then database administrator manage the DBMS and make it sure that database is functioning properly. Then we have database designer which are responsible to design the database structure. We also call them database architect sometime, and we know that database design has a lot of importance in a database system. If design is not good, even the best DBMS would not work good. Okay, so database designer job is to design the database structure. Then we have analyst or programmer. They design and implement the application program. So analyst and programmer, their duty is to design and implement application program, like data entry screens, what kind of reports it will generate, and procedure through which end user access and modify the database data. And then we have end users. End users are those people who use application program. So database designer design database, analyst and programmer implement it, and then end user use it. Further we can say that we have high level end users which obtain information from this for strategic planning and decision making, and normal other end users like sales clerks, supervisors who are using it for day to day business. Okay, after that we have procedures, which are the instructions and rules that are used to design the database system, and these procedures are critical, although occasionally forgotten component of the system. So procedures play a very important role in company because these are used to implement the standard by which business is conducting within the organization and with customer. Then we have a data which cover the collection of facts stored in the database. All the facts that you store in database, we say that this is data, because data are the raw material, and we process this data to generate information out of it. So in database we need to determine what data to enter in the database and how to organize this data. And how to organize this data is the important part of the database designer job. The complexity of the database system depends on the organization size, its function, and its corporate culture. Like if we are designing a database for a grocery store, then for a single grocery store this database system might consist of a single PC as a hardware, and procedures are also very simple, and the data volume will also be very low, and the user will also, maybe it is being managed by 2 or 3 people. But on the other hand, if this is the database system of a bank, then things will be entirely different. You will have to hire a full-time database administrator to manage it. You have to hire a designer and programmer, and hardware also will be not single PC but may consist of a lot of servers that are located on so many different location. Procedures will also be complex, and data volume will also be very high. So database systems are created and managed on different level of complexity, and complexity depend on the organization size, its function, and its culture. Another thing is that we want to have a cost effective solution, and solution should not only be cost effective but also provide us um, uh, accurate information whenever we require it for our decision making or strategic planning. DBMS provide several functions which guarantee the integrity and consistency of the data in database, but most of these functions are transparent to end user, like users are not aware what is happening on the backend, and all this backend functionality is provided by DBMS. So the first function of DBMS is data dictionary management. So DBMS store the definition of data element and their relationship in a special file called data dictionary, and whenever you are going to perform some operation, DBMS look up the required data component and structure and relationship among different data through this data dictionary. Also, if any change is made in the database structure, it can be done without affecting the other programs which are used to access this data. So this data dictionary remove structural and data dependence from the system. So if you are using DBMS, it provide you data dictionary management, which in turn remove structural and data dependence from the system. Okay, this figure shows you how Microsoft SQL Server present this data definition for this customer table. So here in the customer table we have different fields like customer name, its data type, null is allowed or not for it, and then for each field further detail is there. So data dictionary store information about data, or we can say metadata. Okay, database also provide you storage management, where it create and manage the complex structure that are required for the storage of data. Like here we can see in this example, this is a file, one file that is stored over there in Oracle DBA Studio. Now in here it is shown as one database or a file, but actually this file is stored in 9 different locations over here in C, and then it shows like how much each file occupy the space over there. So although for the user, because all the information is transparent from user, so user will see the database as a single data storage unit, but actually database management system store this database in multiple physical data files, and it is possible that these files may even be stored on different storage media. Another function that is provided by database management system is data transformation and presentation. You have seen that we have unstructured or semi-structured data, and we need to convert it into structured data. So DBMS transform your entered data to conform to the required data structure. As a user, you don't need to worry about it. Like you can enter data in some format, but on the back end DBMS can change it to the standard structure. Then it also provide you security management, because DBMS create security system which can enforce user security as well as data privacy. So security rules are used to determine the access level of each user, like which user can access which data items and what kind of operation can be performed by which user. DBMS also provide you multi-user access control, like it ensure that multiple user can access database at the same time without compromising its integrity or without taking data into inconsistent state. It provide you backup and data recovery to ensure that the data safety and integrity. So current DBMS system provide you utility program that allow database administrator to perform routine and special backup, and if there is any problem occur, you can easily recover from it, like you are in the middle of transaction and power failure occur. Now as a power failure, as a result of power failure, when your system restart, it should recover from that problem or failure and preserve the database integrity. Like you are doing a transaction where you are transferring an amount from account A to account B. So you deduct amount from account A, like transfer $100 from A to B. So when you are going to transfer $100 from account A to B, what you will do on backend, whatever the current balance of account A minus 100 and current balance of account B plus 100. So when you did current balance of account A minus 100, you have done until here this step in the transaction, and power failure occur. And now when you recover from this situation, your database can go to inconsistent state, because it has already deduct money from account A but has not transferred to account B. So DBMS makes sure that such kind of inconsistency does not occur and preserve the database integrity. DBMS also promote and enforce integrity rule by minimizing the redundancy and maximizing the consistency. How to enforce the integrity rules? Integrity rules are enforced by using the information stored in data dictionary, and integrity, as I told you, is especially very important in transaction oriented database system, because our daily day-to-day business depend on these transaction, and we need our data to be having a consistent state. Okay, another function provided by DBMS is the access to database through programming interface. And in this programming interface, you can run queries, and these queries are written in a programming language. We call it query language, which is a non-procedural language. Why we called it non-procedural language? Because you just have to specify what must be done without having to specify how to do that. And SQL is the standard query language, and it is supported by most of the DBMS vendors. Okay, DBMS communication interface is that our currently used DBMS accept end user request through different network environment, like you can use DBMS, which provide access to the database by using internet through the use of web browser like Chrome or Internet Explorer. So in this way you can communicate with database in different ways, like user can enter the search query in Google search engine by filling data in the search query form, or DBMS can automatically publish predefined report on website. So database communication interfaces are also important functionality or a function provided by DBMS. If you are choosing database as a professional career, then the kind of job title and description and sample skills that are required for these job titles are given over here in this table. Like you can go as a database developer, designer, administrator, analyst, architect, consultant, or security officer, with the description of each job and what kind of skills required for each job. And here we finish our chapter. This is just a summary. Okay, thank you.